Okay, it looks like an insurance commercial.
Kind of does.
I'm going to say that later.
Okay. I will pretend like you said it for the first time.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there is Brandon.
That's me.
As usual, you can find us online at namely90s.com or on Twitter and Instagram at namely90s with a 90s. You can also watch the show on YouTube every Monday at namely90s.com/YouTube. And finally, if you'd like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/namely90s, also with a 90s, to get signed up for one of our support levels. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Next episode.
It's already been a week.
Yeah. Whew. Time flies when you're existing, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was just sitting here thinking I could write I could listen to what you're saying as your intro and then just write it in our outline so that you could read off of it every week. And then after like a few weeks of doing that, I could then start changing what you say,
slowly,
slight typos here and there. And
after a while, I would think I was saying the same thing, but I'd be saying something completely different.
Exactly. But yeah, so last week, we were going to talk about Betty White, who had passed away Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, so that's been 2 weeks at this point. And we said we are going to put it off until this episode, which we are going to do. We're going to focus on her later in the episode. Because someone else died within the week time span of us.
Jeez.
It was the night before our last episode. So there's no way we could have turned around and done this. But
no, of course.
Bob Saget passed away, which was also a shock. And we are definitely also going to talk about him further in this 1992 episode. But more importantly, that was sarcasm. There is a new trailer that I think Andrew needs to see. This is a talk of the internet like 2 days ago. It's the TikTok where the girl's singing and there's just a stack of Space Jam DVDs. Bel-Air. Bel-Air is the trailer I'm talking about. Have you seen this yet?
So this is I just saw it.
Yeah.
So is this a reboot, a prequel, a sequel, a requel?
Technically it's a reboot. There's no way it could be a prequel since the first episode of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He gets sent to Bel-Air, like in the intro. Okay.
So this is going to be airing on Peacock, yet another reboot series on Peacock that I'm not going to sign up for Peacock for to watch. Indeed. So what are your thoughts on this trailer?
I mean, so this has the internet divided, by the way. Half of the people are like, well, not like me. I don't think it's terrible. It looks cinematic. It looks interesting to me. It looks like there's a show on like Fox or something called Empire. That I think has a similar tone and kind of like visual style. I don't know if it's still on anymore, but like it's definitely it's like the original Fresh Prince did tackle some pretty heavy issues while being a comedy, but it was a comedy. Yeah, this appears not to have any comedic elements in it, except probably the
occasional quip or two. Mm-hmm. But it does, for a television series, does look overly cinematic, overly dramatized.
Like if it wasn't the Fresh Prince IP, I would probably be more interested in watching it.
Correct. And the main actor, I apologize, I don't know his name. Even if it's not an attempt to do it, it sounds like he's trying to do an impression of Will Smith the entire time, which, again, that may just be how he sounds, but it sounds like a bad impression of Will Smith.
Well, I mean, the idea is that he is Will Smith, not the actor, but the character Will Smith.
Correct. But it almost seems like he's emulating a voice style that is similar, but in a way that's off-putting because it seems like it's forced, even if it's not.
I'm assuming he's going for like a West Philly accent. Like he's trying to do the Philly thing, which if It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia did one thing right, it was not adopting a Philly accent.
I don't even know what a Philly accent sounds like.
It's somewhere, it's like a mix of Bostonian and Detroit.
What is a Detroit accent?
It's not great. Not great. Shout out to our Detroit fans.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had a great line. Do you remember what you said? When comparing, like, this looks like if you took the reboot of Dallas and mash it up with Will Smith.
The Empire has that one lady that's named like Snooki or Cookie or
Snooki is not an Empire.
What's her name? I got an Empire.
Okay, I guess I'll riff for a few more seconds.
Sorry, see who's like her name's like something.
I think the one thing that I didn't like about this trailer is that Carlton is not like a super dweeb in the show.
Yeah. Taraji P. Henson. Her name is Cookie.
Oh, okay. I was like, how did you get Snooki out of Taraji P. Henson?
It's like Cookie or Snooki or Cookie. Okay.
On to worse news and more reboots. Thank God we never got the reboot alarm. The Santa Claus is, do you remember the Santa Claus with Tim Allen?
Yes, I do. Unfortunately, I do.
And there were 2 sequels in the early 2000s. They're bringing it to Disney Plus as a series. Continuing the story.
Not everything needs to be a gritty reboot. It's not gritty, is it?
No, it's not a reboot. It's a continuation. It's like,
but it doesn't need to be gritty. Don't make it gritty.
It's probably going to be less cheesy than the Santa Claus 2 and 3. Is what I would assume. But so far, all we know is that Scott Calvin, Tim Allen's character, is coming back, and he's going to be looking for a replacement Santa, I assume, to kill him so that he will fade like a Jedi into the snow.
Is Tim Allen finally just hanging it up after Last Man Standing finally ended for the second time?
Well, he's gotta get back on the Disney good graces because, well, technically Fox owns. Well, didn't that end up on Fox in the end after it moved from ABC?
I think so.
Anyway, since Disney owns Fox now, they own Tim Allen completely.
They own Tim Allen.
Yes. But like, I think the Buzz Lightyear show, or not the Buzz Lightyear movie is coming out this summer called Lightyear using Chris Evans. Tim Allen's got to make himself seem useful because he's not doing the Buzz Lightyear voice anymore to Disney. He's got to find a way to, make more millions of dollars. But yeah, he's Scott Calvin's 65 in the series, and he's going to be searching for his new replacement, and that broke today. So
yeah, like I just imagine when he's on set, the craft services table is just going to be piled to the ceiling with just like bricks of cocaine. No, that was a long time ago. Sorry.
Yeah. I even avoided. That's what I was going to say. He needed his millions of dollars for. Yeah.
That's where he keeps his investments. Craft services. There's like a charcuterie board. There's a build your own bagel bar, and then there's just cocaine.
Well, if he's near 65, like his character is,
yeah, true.
he might be at the age where he starts like putting the bricks of cocaine in a napkin and then stuffing it into his pocket so that he takes it home for later.
Yeah. Just like when you hit about 65, it's really time to start kind of tapering down off the coke. No, that was him in the 90s. It's fine now.
I thought you were going to say it's just you start to steal food from diners that are with.
Yeah, you steal one piece of silverware each time until you have a full set.
And that's how you pay for your pension.
Oh gosh.
Any news for you?
No, we talked about the pod shed's back online. We're no longer under 17 feet of snow or whatever it was.
That's good. That was
it's good. Snow. It's good. Yeah, I don't have a lot today to share. There was something earlier that happened, and of course I can't remember. So this is good podcasting.
So when you're at the ripe old age of 33, you start putting the bricks of cocaine in the napkin and you stuff it in your pocket and take it for home for later.
You got it. Yeah. No, well, I guess I have one thing. I remembered we've been watching a new series on Showtime, which who has Showtime? That's my question.
No one.
It just so happens we have it as part of our TV. So like we can get it, the streaming version.
Weird.
And we ended up watching this show called Yellow Jackets. Have you heard of Yellow Jackets?
Everyone is in love with Yellow Jackets right now. That's a big, thing.
Okay. I like the show.
Andrew likes a popular show that is on TV currently.
The show is about a fictional team, girls soccer team. It's based on true events. This has happened in other places, but it's about a girls soccer team from the 90s. They're going to nationals. Their plane crashes in the wilderness of northern Canada. They're actually on their way to Seattle. Anyway, and then they get in this plane crash. Some of them live. They end up, not getting rescued, living off the land, etc. But then there's also
in the 90s.
This is in the 90s. This didn't actually happen.
Oh, okay.
It's based on true events. Like there was a soccer team that got stranded in the Andes Mountains in the 70s. There's a movie about that with Ethan Hawke, I think, and some other person.
They ate each other. Right?
Yeah. So that happens in this show too, but they just allude to it. We haven't seen it yet.
Gotcha. Is that
but
the
they
one
allude to it in the first episode, so it's not a spoiler really.
Is that the one that Sammy Hanratty?
I don't know who that is.
Fair enough. I'll look that up while you.
But there's also there's the flashback sequences, but then there's modern day where some of the survivors are older, and like one of the main characters is that annoying stalker lady from 2.5 Men.
Oh, really?
I believe she plays one of the main characters.
Melanie Linsky.
Christina Ricci is in it.
I like Christina Ricci.
It's good. It suffers from what a lot of what do you call HBO and Showtime and those
Samantha Hanratty plays Misty, and that's Christina Ricci's younger character.
So what do you call those channels? HBO,
Premium.
Showtime, premium channels.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that premium channel shows always suffer from is people don't swear that much in real life. They just don't. All of the dialogue includes swearing.
I mean, if you work at a factory.
Yeah. And listen, I like curse words. I'm fine.
If
it's
you're
too
a
much.
Sailor.
It becomes unnatural because you're they're just trying to say the F word the maximum amount of times possible. 2
of our child friends speak like sailors now.
Yeah. Well, I don't. And I think it's dumb. And so that's one thing that it suffers from. It's also they overdo, there's a lot of sexual themes in it, and they just overdo that because again, it's premium TV and you can just show people boning half the time.
Aren't they teenagers?
Well, yeah, that's what happens. Okay. And then some of the adults do some boning around as well.
All women soccer team. Anyway,
it's a good show. I do recommend it. It's creepy. It's fun. It's well written. It just suffers from a couple of those cliches that happen with premium television channel shows.
Gotcha.
I would recommend.
Put it on the queue.
Get Showtime. No.
Right after I get Peacock.
Yeah. Insert the knife and twist.
Cool. Yellow Jackets. Andrew actually recommends something that's current and popular.
Mm-hmm. Maybe this will be Showtime's Saving Grace. Or you can watch that weird show with Paul Giamatti where everyone's rich.
Pretty sure Saving Grace was on the CBS.
You also can't take seriously. I keep seeing trailers for the new Joseph Gordon-Levitt one where he plays the CEO of Uber, and it makes me want to die. It's the worst.
But the CEO of Uber was like Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, I don't know. It's about the story of Uber and being created and such,
Gotcha.
but everything on Showtime looks like hot trash.
The last show on Showtime that I watched and enjoyed was Californication with David Duchovny.
Uh-huh. All right. Anyway, that's what I got. What about you? Anything else? Okay, move on to the episode.
I thought we should move on to the episode quite some time ago. 10 minutes ago, in fact.
Well, it's fine. So what was going on in January of 1992?
Travel back with me, listeners, to January of 1992. On the 1st, the 78th Rose Bowl, University of Washington beats Michigan 34-14. I would throw in some Wazoo bowl games, but they don't seem to be having them. On the 7th, AT&T releases the video telephone for $1,499.
Oh, cost effective.
The first video telephone. On the 8th, George Herbert Walker Bush vomits on the Japanese Prime Minister's lap.
Ew.
Must have been some bad sushi. On the 11th, Christy Yamaguchi wins the U.S. Female Figure Skating Championship. I'm building up to something. On the 12th, the highest scoring NCAA basketball game is played where the USC Trojans defeat DeVry Hoyas 258-149.
What?
Yes.
How? Were they shooting into a hula hoop? I mean, come on.
I mean, how did DeVry's team end up playing USC?
DeVry actually has a team? There's no way.
Well, I don't think so anymore. Or an NCAA team. Yeah. They must have been a different conference for sure. On the 13th, Jeffrey Dahmer pleads guilty, but insane to, the charges set against him for murder. On the 15th, Jimi Hendrix and Johnny Cash are inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. On the 16th, Eric Clapton records his now famous MTV Unplugged album entitled Unplugged.
Hey, correction. It was actually the Troy State University Trojans.
Oh, was it?
Troy, Alabama.
That makes
Alabama
so much more sense. Why are there so many Trojans? So the Clapton album is the best-selling album, or best-selling Clapton album, and the best-selling live album of all time, or at least up to that point.
I think we had that one growing up.
Yeah, it's a good one. On the 19th, Mac Miller. Do you know who Mac Miller is, Andrew?
I know the name.
He's a recording artist of some sort. He was born. On the 26th, Super Bowl 26, Washington redacted team name beats Buffalo Bills 37-24. They're now the football team. Actually, in a few weeks, they're going to announce what the new game is.
Indeed.
In New York. Just to create a mass spreader event, because it's going to be a fan thing. Also on the 26th, during the Super Bowl halftime show, Fox counter programs with a live special edition of In Living Color. Do you remember In Living Color?
I do. We talked about it.
We did. That was a sketch comedy show. Jim Carrey was in it.
I prefer counter programming with the Puppy Bowl. That's smart.
Do they do counter program with the Puppy Bowl, don't they? Not Fox, but
Animal Planet. I'm pretty sure.
Animal Planet, yes. Okay, TV premiering January 1992. On the 4th, we have Nick Arcade on Nickelodeon. On the 20th, we have The Dennis Miller Show. And on the 27th, we have Inside Politics on CNN. And in the box office, another month that I had no idea. We have on the 10th, Cuffs, which is a Christian Slater, Mila Jovovich, and Ashley Judd vehicle. And on the 17th, we have Juice, starring Tupac and Omar Epps.
From House.
Yeah, that's why I included
and
them.
ER.
And ER.
On the Billboard charts, number 1 for January 1982, in from December, and for the first 3 weeks, we have Black or White by Michael Jackson. And in the last week, we have All for Love by Color Me Bad.
Ooh, boy.
And for the third week, in January of 1992, at number 3, we have Can't Let Go by Mariah Carey. Number 4, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me by George Michael and Elton John.
That's a good one.
That is the correct vowel. Number 8 is It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday by Boyz II Men. Number 9, Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. Number 15, Mysterious Ways by U2. Number 19, When a Man Loves a Woman by Michael Bolton. And number 24, Don't Cry by Guns N' Roses. And let's toss it across the pond to our friends over at the Insanely Dangerous Retro Podshow for what was happening way back when. Make sure to follow up on their headlines this Thursday on the Insanely Dangerous Retro Podshow, and you'll get to hear even more of us while we host our weekly segment, Quotely 90s. Find it on all major platforms, and take it away, Dange.
Good evening. Here are UK headlines for January 1992. New Year's Day highlights include first network television showing of Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. Bohemian Rhapsody, These Are the Days of Our Lives continues as UK number 1. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey hits the UK cinemas.
Thanks, dude. Don't talk, just kiss, because I can't dance, seeing as I'm justified and ancient. You can be my goodnight girl, but those namely boys are a prodigy.
Welcome back to our new mid-episode break, namely 90s Minute. Every week we look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of Scream debuting in theaters last Friday, we are taking a look back at Scream, which debuted in theaters in 1996. Scream is an American slasher film released in December of 1996, directed by that guy that made the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. The film stars Courtney Cox's ex-husband, the older sister from Party of Five, Monica from Friends, live-action Shaggy from the Scooby-Doo movies, the sister that replaced Shannon Doherty on Charmed, Jughead's dad from Riverdale, and the little girl that screamed at E.T. the Extraterrestrial. The story follows Californian high school student Sidney Prescott, played by the woman who wasn't Denise Richards in Wild Things, as she is targeted by a mysterious serial killer wearing the now classic Ghostface Killer mask. Combining dark comedy with a whodunit style mystery and the slasher genre, Scream attempts to satirize the cliches of the 70s and 80s horror movies by using meta commentary and characters who are aware of these tropes and cliches while trying to outlive and subvert them. Spoiler alert, it doesn't go well. The film starts off with the girl from Never Been Kissed who gets a flirty, on-the-nose, anonymous call from the Ghostface Killer, not to be confused with the Wu-Tang Clan rapper, where they talk about horror movies and eventually he quizzes her on them. The wrong answer results in her boyfriend's death and then her own in this now classic scene. Shifting on to the main character, Sydney, we learn that it has been a year since her mother was having an affair that possibly resulted in her rape and murder. The girl from Ever After's murder brought reporter Gail Weathers, played by Ace Ventura's girlfriend, to town, who becomes a recurring character in this franchise. After a series of murders and murder attempts on Sydney, we find out that, spoiler alert, Sydney's boyfriend Billy and his best friend Stu were both the killers, and they were attempting to frame Sydney's father for the murders. In the end, Sydney dons the Ghostface costume, attacks Billy, and drops a TV on Stu. Gail then shoots Billy as he's attacking Sydney, and finally Sydney double taps by putting a bullet through Billy's head. And that's Scream in a namely 90s minute, more or less.
And now, back to the show.
I'm not going to say it now since you say it.
I don't have to.
Well,
I just thought I'd give you options.
Oh. I just figured you were messing with me.
And now, back to the show.
Right after I would say it.
Yeah, Devry did actually have a basketball team. That's weird.
Well, now that it's not like the USC Trojans, it makes more sense to me. Was it like Devry, like, DeVry was actually like an actual university back then. It's
always been a private for-profit.
Right, but it wasn't like online only at that point, I assume.
I believe not. But
well, I guess it has to have a campus because, like,
yeah, you're right.
University of Phoenix has a campus.
It has a lot of campuses.
True.
What was I going to say about DeVry? Oh, the game. It was Division 1. No, it was Division 2 game. That's why we haven't heard of them.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Anyway,
definitely is not Division 1. So we've put it off long enough. We should talk about Betty White.
Betty White.
Which is relevant to 1992 because this is the year that Golden Girls ended.
Oh.
But let's just start back at the beginning where Betty Marion White was born in Illinois on January 17th, 1922.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that is her legal name. She was not a shortened version of Elizabeth. After being told she wasn't photogenic enough for movies in the 40s, she started a career in radio, got her own show called The Betty White Show, started her television career in 1949 on a show called Hollywood on Television, where she eventually took over the show's host, created a television comedy called Life with Elizabeth, where she was the title character, which eventually became a nationally syndicated show.
Hold on, wasn't she pretty photogenic back then? I think I've seen pictures from her back in that day.
Not like you couldn't have. She looked more like Rosie the Riveter than Audrey Hepburn.
Okay, all right.
I guess.
I feel like to be on movies back then, you had to smoke those long cigarettes
and say, "Tell me about it, stud."
Yeah, why do they all sound like mobsters?
Because it's the 1930s and 40s in Hollywood. Get her in the talkies, see? Well, I assume like back then they're like, we only have so much film. We need to make sure that every woman is like the super prettiest woman.
Sure, fair enough.
Which is, I don't know if fair enough's the right word, but
okay, that's not exactly what I meant.
I know.
At the time,
it's understandable for how we understand.
Yeah, now anyone can be in a movie because film doesn't exist. It's unlimited.
It's all digital. Eventually, she had her own daily talk variety show called The Betty White Show, this time on television, which eventually got nationally syndicated on NBC. But it got backlash in the South, because this was the Jim Crow era, for having a black tap dancer on named Arthur Duncan in the regular cast. Her response was, "I'm sorry, live with it." Because
I'm sorry. Can the South just split away and just float to the ocean? Could that happen?
This was still in the 1950s.
Wouldn't it become Australia essentially?
Because of the racism, not because it would float.
You tell me. You tell me.
Hello to our Aussie listeners out there.
Good day.
Good day to our Aussie listeners.
Good day, mate.
And she also increased his appearances on the show. By the 1960s, White was a staple of network game shows and talk shows, including the two versions of The Tonight Show up to that point, hosted by Jack Paar and later by Johnny Carson. She married the host of the game show Password, Alan Ludden, in 1963, and was a celebrity guest for 15-ish years from 1961 to 1975. Anyway, NBC offered her an anchor job for their new flagship breakfast television show, Today. We referenced it earlier.
Yeah. This is a thing with the stuff. Okay.
She turned the offer down, though, because she didn't want to move to New York City, and the job went to Barbara Wawa. Sorry.
Who is also a billion years old.
Barbara Walters. Oh, God, is she going to die next?
Maybe.
Let's see. She made several appearances in the fourth season of the Mary Tyler Moore Show as the man-hungry Sue Ann Nivens, and became a regular character in the fifth season after Valerie Harper left the show. In 1985, she scored her second signature role and the biggest hit of her career
where she played Rose Nyland on The Golden Girls. If you don't remember The Golden Girls, you can go back and listen to our episode on it where we basically said nothing about it and learned that Andrew was Rose and I was, I believe, B. Arthur's character.
So basically, that's why we hate each other.
Apparently B. Arthur and Betty White did not get along.
Perfect.
Yes. The women, 4 widowed or divorced women in their golden years shared a retirement home in Miami. Let's see. She won an Emmy for Outstanding Actress in a Comedy Series for the first season of The Golden Girls. She also got nominated every year, but in a supporting actress category. B. Arthur, we just said that, they weren't fond of each other. But mostly because Betty White always had a positive attitude and B. Arthur was a
gross.
Arthur. After the show ended in 1992, which is today's episode, except it ended in like May. Let's see. They spun off because B. Arthur left the show in 1992. They spun off into a show called The Golden Palace, which is not just the Chinese restaurant down the road from you. The series was short-lived, though. It only lasted 1 season. But White also reprised the Rose Nyland character in multiple guest appearances throughout the next few years on NBC, on shows like Empty Nest and Nurses, which for some reason were both set in Miami. I'm going to start a rumor right now that she was set to appear on an episode of Miami Vice. Just didn't get off the ground because everything was apparently in Miami in the 80s and 90s. After Golden Palace ended, White starred on a number of other television programs, including Suddenly Susan, The Practice, Yes Dear. Remember Yes Dear?
Yes, I do. Yes, wow. Dear.
I don't remember. The guy is the goofy guy. I don't remember.
I remember Yes Dear, yeah.
Let's see. She appeared on the John Larroquette show. Where they did like a Golden Girls reunion, except B. Arthur was played by John Larroquette. Blah, blah, blah. In 2009, Betty White came back into the public's collective consciousness and our hearts by starring in a Super Bowl commercial made by Snickers, well, technically by Mars Incorporated, but it was a campaign for the Snickers bar, which breathed life back into the Snickers bar, by the way. Not a lot of people know this, but Snickers was like one of the lowest selling candy bars in 2009, apparently. But the slogan for it was...
This is super boring.
What? I prepared so much.
No, I said the Snickers bar is boring. That's why it's not doing well.
I heard this is super boring.
No, it's super boring. That's why no one likes Snickers. Like, ugh.
I never realized this. I liked Snickers.
Yeah, but it's all that's in your Halloween candy ever, and you're just like, oh, get another Snickers.
No, you always end up with like Mounds and Almond Joys.
I love those things.
No one likes those.
Give me all of yours.
I will trade you for the Snickers.
You're such a basic bitch, like over there with your Snickers.
the peanut butter bar or the peanut butter Snickers, those are freaking awesome.
Okay, yeah, well.
But I'll take a regular Snickers. I will take a regular Snickers over anything else in the Mars collection.
Can you please make the basic bitch thing into a soundbite?
I will do that, and then once we upgrade to having our own panel or button thingies, we will use it. So in this commercial, the slogan is "You're not you when you're hungry," and it's like Betty White trash talking people playing football, like they're playing a scrimmage or in the mud or something. I don't remember completely, but it was like, dude, have a Snickers, and he eats the Snickers, and he stops being Betty White. But yeah, that was one of the most popular ads, not only from that Super Bowl, but of all Super Bowl commercials, which led to her hosting SNL at the ripe old age of 88.
Whoa!
Based off of a Facebook petition, which back in 2010 wasn't as big as it would be now. And also you wouldn't have people arguing in the comments about fake
Donald
news.
Trump, 5G, microchips, the Magna Carta.
Betty White impregnated my sister. She was the winner of SNL's Anybody Can Coast contest.
The one that she beat, yeah.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Yes. But yeah, there's 500 members in this group. That was back when they were just groups.
500,000.
500,000. Thank you. That makes a difference.
46 people have signed this petition.
Well, this was like maybe 4 or 5 years into Facebook being a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, when Betty White thanked Facebook and joked that she didn't know what Facebook was, and now that I do know what it is, I have to say it sounds like a huge waste of time, which is what I've been saying for the last few years. Also in 2010, she took on the role of Elka Ostrovsky, the house caretaker on TV Land's original sitcom Hot in Cleveland, which I believe was the first TV Land original sitcom, which also starred Valerie Bertinelli, Jane Leaves, and Wendy Malik. Is that Leaves?
And Valerie Bertinelli was so famous that she got her own show on Food Network after that.
What?
She has her own cooking show on Food Network.
That's so weird.
Valerie's Home Kitchen or something like that.
That's not from the Jenny Craig stuff?
No.
She was a Jenny Craig commercial person too. Also,
Valerie's Home Cooking.
Wasn't she like a supermodel in the 80s or something? Betty White was only meant to appear in the pilot of the show, but was asked to stay on for the entire series. And this I found interesting. In October of 2001, Betty White was awarded an honorary degree and white doctor's coat by the Washington State University at the Washington State Veterinary Medical Association's Centennial Gala in Yakima, Washington.
I think I vaguely remember that because I was in vet school back then, and I wouldn't have been at that. It wasn't a part of the WSVMA back then, but yeah, I think it's due to all of her philanthropy and activities for
26 dogs she owned.
Welfare of animals. So,
yeah.
Fellow R.I.P. to the fellow Coog, Betty White,
and white doctor's coat.
Mm-hmm.
That's my piece about Betty White.
I mean, what an icon.
Yeah.
To remain relevant, for such a large amount of your life. That's crazy.
Do you feel a close connection with her since you got her character Rose Nyland in our
not to mention we graduated from the same school.
That as well.
The same alma mater. So
you're basically Betty White.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, this is true. I mean, I do like to watch Jeopardy and then fall asleep. So
she did like her game shows.
Yeah. Well, she will be sorely missed, and that was like a giant FU from 2021.
Yeah, right at the end there.
Oh gosh.
Apparently, she had a stroke on Christmas.
Yeah.
My final memory or final thought. She was in the season premiere of Community, season 2 premiere of Community, where she played a professor, and she shot Joel McHale with a blow dart, and then attacked him with some sort of like tribal weapons because she was the anthropology professor. And
I think I saw her in sorry, you're not done yet. Sorry.
And then she drank her own pee and later ruined the plot of Inception for an African tribe in one of the post-credit scenes.
I think I saw her in the movie
Some Like It Hot.
Well, no,
the Ryan Reynolds one.
Yes, the Ryan Reynolds one.
I don't remember what it's called.
The Proposal with Sandra Bullock.
Proposal with Sandra Bullock.
I just think it'd be fun. I'm
the basic bitch.
Toy Story 4, Bones, SpongeBob SquarePants, Hot in Cleveland. Hold on. The
Toy Story 4
Lorax, Community. These are just things I recognize.
Gotcha.
The Middle, 30 Rock, The Proposal, My Name is Earl, Boston Legal, Ponyo, Ugly Betty, The Simpsons, Family Guy, Joey, Malcolm in the Middle, My Wife and Kids.
Yep.
The Practice, you mentioned that. That 70s Show, King of the Hill, The Ellen Show, The Wild Thornberrys.
I don't remember her on That 70s Show.
Ladies Man, The Wild Thornberrys again somehow. Ally McBeal.
There's a movie.
Hercules, the TV series.
The animated series or the...
It says Hercules TV series, but she's a voice, so probably animated.
The animated, yeah, okay. Disney series.
Blah, blah, blah. Diagnosis Murder. Probably love that show. And then we get back into the Golden Palace, Golden Girls era, so...
also Santa Barbara, Another World, Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, Days of Our Lives, it's in there too.
Saint Elsewhere, and then all of her game shows, $25,000 Pyramid.
She has 124 credits. That's a lot.
The Carol Burnett Show. Yeah.
So, quite a prolific career.
Match Game. It's impressive. It's impressive. Speaking of impressive, the next one, Shorter Life. Robert Lane Saget, best known to us as Bob Saget. Actually, best known to us as America's Dad, Danny Tanner from Full House.
Yes.
He was born in May of 1956. Like, wow. Died just last, listeners, two Sundays ago, on January 9th. He was a stand-up comedian and actor and television host. Best known, like I said, Danny Tanner on Full House and its Netflix sequel, Fuller House, which I've seen every episode of because the nostalgia, it hit at the right time.
Just wait until 2031 when they come out with Fullest House.
I would be down for it. I liked Sony Nicole's character. I think that was her name. The Kimmy's daughter. She was good, and the oldest son from Danny's oldest son was pretty good too.
After that one lady gets out of jail for
DJs.
Bribing her kids into college, maybe she can star in it.
Lori Loughlin.
Yeah.
Yes, she was missed in the finale. He's also known as the voice of older Ted, the narrator of How I Met Your Mother, which is sequel series How I Met Your Father begins on, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, that one looks bad on the trailer too, but what can I say?
I like Hilary Duff. And he also hosted America's Funniest Home Videos. He was the original host of America's Funniest Home Videos, now shortened to AFV. Yes. Or AMV. AFV, yes.
Yes.
From 1989 to 1997. Plus, he was a comedian, and he liked saying bad words, and
his was very raunchy, very adult comedy. But yet, then in his television career, he was very much a dad type figure.
Yeah, constantly. Let's see. I did prepare. He was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1956 to a Jewish family. That was nice flavor there. He married Sherry Kramer in 1982. They had 3 daughters, Aubrey, Laura Melanie, and Jennifer Bell. And the couple divorced in 1997. He remarried in 2018 to Kelly Rizzo, the host of Eat, Travel, Rock TV. Yes, she was closer to our age, I believe. Following a short stint as a member of he was a board member of the I can't pronounce that, Scleroderma Research Foundation, because he discussed how his sister was diagnosed with scleroderma at 43, died at 47, and had been misdiagnosed numerous times. So that actually a good way to support his memory is to donate to the Scleroderma Research Foundation.
Indeed.
His career, he started after a short stint on CBS's The Morning Program. Everyone's favorite, The Morning Program.
What a terrible name. Good God.
That was early 1987. He was cast as Danny Tanner in Full House, which became a success, obviously. It was top 30 on the Nielsen rating.
Wow.
Beginning with season 3. In 89, he started hosting America's Funniest Home Videos, which has changed a lot over the years. Let's be honest. AFV. Wow. And he returned in 2009 for the 20th anniversary 1-hour special where he co-hosted with Tom Bergeron.
See, that's one I would actually watch if that was available. I didn't know that was a thing.
I feel like I saw that. In 1998, he made a cameo appearance as a cocaine addict in the stoner comedy Half Baked.
They tried to get Tim Allen, but he was busy. Just saying.
In 2001, Saget took on another widowed dad role after in 1999 when the Olsen twins took on another widowed mom or widowed daughter.
The only thing that existed in the 90s and 2000s on television was widowed parents.
Mm-hmm.
Good God.
He starred on Raising Dad on the WB, which co-starred Kat Dennings and Brie Larson and whoever the hell Jerry Adler is. But Kat Dennings and Brie Larson are now both in the MCU. They're big stars on their own. Dennings,
big stars.
Kat Dennings was Two Broke Girls. Brie Larson had like a Disney Channel thing until she won an Emmy, I believe, or an Oscar or something.
Then who's paying the bills?
Yes.
Hollywood kid.
I really like. A lot of people don't like Brie Larson for some reason. I really like her. She also has her own YouTube channel now. And Kat Dennings just got engaged last year, I think. Anyway, he served as the voice of future Ted Mosby on How I Met Your Mother, which started in 2005 and ran until 2014.
Which still no one can explain, but we'll give it a pass.
Even in the final episode, it's not Brett Ratner. What is his name? Josh Radner, the actor who plays Ted, in old man makeup, actually speaks the final line to the kids. That's How I Met Your Mother and all that stuff. So why have Bob Saget?
I don't know. I mean, I think it was good. It just didn't make any sense.
It works. I loved hearing the voiceover. Just hearing Bob Saget again was great. He was a host of 1 versus 100 on NBC. That was a game show, which I vaguely remember. And he returned to Danny Tanner for 15 episodes in the Full House sequel series Fuller House. And finally, in 2020, he started a podcast called Bob Saget's Here For You. And yeah, that's actually pretty good one. And it's also, he also was in season 4 of Andrew's favorite show, The Masked Singer, as a squiggly monster. So yeah.
Wow. I remember him most from America's Funniest Home Videos. I will call it that in honor of him, instead of America's Funniest Videos. Because I remember him on that show, and he always did like the best voices. He was the ultimate host of that show, followed somewhat closely by Tom Bergeron.
Yeah,
and I'll say nothing beyond that.
I couldn't tell you who anyone else was that hosted that show.
Well, there is Alfonso Ribeiro, who currently hosts it.
I like Alfonso Ribeiro. I've not seen
do it great.
I didn't like the format. I didn't like the format change once Tom Bergeron hosted. So
Tom Bergeron, he's underrated in my opinion. He's no Tyra Banks, but
she could not have hosted America's Funniest Home Videos.
But Tyra Banks took over Dancing with the Stars.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, they got rid of the 2 hosts for her, and she sucks.
I was about to get incredulous. So let's see. I'll be honest. I really like Bob Saget. I really liked him as Danny Tanner. Full House is like one of the first shows I remember watching on television, like as someone who was raised on TV. It was a gut punch on Sunday, and I've kind of been scrolling through social media just looking at all the cast members responses to his passing. Candace Burr, she married that hockey player, don't you know?
Beret. I think it's bad.
I've never heard it said out loud. But yeah, she's been posting like a picture every day and like writing blurbs even after, like they all had like their own personal posts, and then they I think it was Tuesday they all did like a cast photo that they had a blurb on. But yeah,
can someone tell Wikipedia that the whoever writes for Wikipedia, the period goes inside the quotation?
Yes.
Just need to point that out.
Oh wow, that's all of them.
Yeah.
To be fair, that was just edited before I stole that.
Oh, that's fine.
But yeah, even the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, I think it must have been Monday, but they issued just a statement that Bob was the most loving, compassionate, and generous man, and no one's heard from the Olsen twins in like the media since Elizabeth has taken over.
Yeah, but I think you have to come out and say something,
right?
In that situation.
Lori Loughlin, who is in jail,
Lori Loughlin from behind bars said
was able to comment, and so yeah. But yeah, just seeing like the kids or. They're not his kids, but they feel like his kids.
Yeah.
The Tanner kids, seeing their reactions pretty hard. And John Stamos and Dave Coulier. And Kimmy, Andrea Barber. But yeah. Bob Saget, that kind of sucks. I was hoping he would somehow just come like narrate How I Met Your Father, even though it's Hilary Duff. And it would
who's voicing Hilary Duff? As an adult, when she's already an adult.
It's someone I didn't recognize, but it is the same premise. So yeah, I wish it was Bob Saget voicing her for no apparent reason. Like
that would have been kind of funny,
right? I'll have to come back to that on another episode, because it does. You know what? We'll talk about it next week because I'll have been able to have watched it. And we're also doing our Namely 90s Minute on Hilary Duff next.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
So yeah, we can talk about it in the early parts of next episode. Bob Saget, anything else you want to say about him? Because we are running long.
No, huge loss. Sucks getting old.
As two people that have no right calling ourselves comedians, we're gonna miss him for not only his comedy but just like for everything that he's done for the 90s. Yep.
He escaped the 2010s without becoming a sex pervert, which is nice. Right. And what I mean to say is, he wasn't a jerk. He was a good guy as far as we know. And I think that is displayed in the kind words that his co-stars had to describe him. So
yeah, that he was always there with a hug. There's like young comedians,
like a regular hug. We have to clarify that.
What did I say?
You said with a hug, and I'm like,
yes.
But they were all like young girls. So I was like, I feel like this is the joke he would have made. Probably.
If I was in the right state of mind, sure, but not really. Yeah, it's just even like just the young comedians that open for him, like the outpouring of support that they've had in the last week is cool to see as well.
Yeah,
he apparently, by all accounts, was just like a super nice and loving dude.
Yeah.
So R.I.P. Dad.
Yeah.
Do you want
Eric Clapton's Unplugged album?
Quickly.
Acoustic version of Layla.
Yep.
And that's it for this. No, just, I mean,
no, that's true.
That's
true. We had like, we've even touched on it before. Like
Eric Clapton's great. It's a good album.
song on there. Tears in Heaven is probably the second best. Yeah, it was recorded in London. It revitalized Clapton post Cream, I guess.
Isn't he considered to be one of the better guitar players of all time?
Sure.
I think I heard that somewhere along the line.
I wouldn't doubt that. Sounds like something someone would have said at one point in time. And you can hear it on this album. Yeah.
Yeah, he's on the list. So
we filled our obligation for 3 topics.
Yes.
So that's it for this week's edition of Namely 90s. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. Check the episode description for this week's supplemental Spotify playlist. I guess
I'll do all songs from Eric Clapton Unplugged.
Yeah, yes, and every theme song from a show that Betty White's ever been on, and Bob Saget.
Yeah.
And find us on Twitter and Instagram at Namely90s with 90s. Find our personal accounts at Beachwoody and at Namely Andrew, and tell us what you want us to talk about on future episodes. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Namely90s, also with a 90s. Finally, you can also contact us through the website, Namely90s.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Unplugged, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeart, Good Pods, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon. That's Andrew. R.I.P. Betty White. R.I.P. Bob Saget. R.I.P. everyone else that has died in the last week since we recorded this.
R.I.P. to anyone who dies between now and when we record next.
Yeah. Rip to the max, as I said last week. So we'll catch you next time. I was hoping I could use that as the bumper.
Oh, gosh.